Okay, so Unreal Engine workflow. In here I have all the mountains imported in, and I need the textures. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna use the one I got from Unity, but you can create your own material for Unreal Engine, of course. Let me drag in my textures here. Okay, it's gonna import everything. The good thing about Unreal Engine is that when it sees a normal map, it converts that into a normal map. So you don't have to manually convert all the normal map. They will be all converted properly. Save it. And then the next step is you need a material for the terrain. The good thing about Unreal Engine's terrain material is that it's just a normal material. Meaning you can do anything you can do with normal material with the terrain. Okay, so I just create a new material and save it. And then just grab the terrain and drag the material into the landscape material. Okay, now let's double click on the material to open it. To blend the textures together, you need a node called landscape layer blend. And because we have 5 layers, you have to create 5 layers. You want to name them properly. So the first one will be my mud. The second one will be my grass, and then the third one will be my rock, and the fourth one will be the flower. The last one will eventually be the snow. Okay. Now let me drag in all the images here, and all I have to do is connect those into those slots. Let's see, the mud is here, then grass, rock, and then flower, and then snow, and then eventually the result goes to the base color. Okay. In my opinion, the material in Unreal Engine is just far more advanced than Unity because of the node-based material editor that you can do all crazy stuff with it. There are so many nodes. You can even sample the word position directly in the node editor, in the material editor. Distance, steps, all sorts of interesting stuff. But anyway, let's also drag in the normal map. The normal map, you need to actually select this layer blend and Control W to duplicate it. And then for those normal maps, you also want to give them, connect them into the correct slot. So that's the mud, and that one is the snow, and that one surprisingly is repeated. I think that's gonna be the rock. Then it's the only one I repeated. It's better to name them though. Rock, and that one will be the flower, and that's gonna be the grass. Okay, and the final result goes to normal. That's the setup of layers. I see it's a bit more complicated here. It's not like Unity, you just need to add a texture and add new. Here you need to actually manually set up this layer system. Okay, now let's save it. If you have more channels to control, like roughness, metallic, you have to have more layered blend here, but I think I can just make things easier by create a simple float number. You can holding down the 1 button on the keyboard and click here to create a float number, and I'm going to use that to control the roughness. Okay, and probably make it fairly rough so I'm not getting any super shiny result. Let's apply. Okay, and when that is done, if you look at the terrain, it's black. Okay, the reason it's black is none of the layers are having any weighting. You can go to the landscape and then go to the paint. Okay, if that's empty, you can drag in the terrain material again. Hopefully it will refresh. If not, just change that to clear it, and then I think I haven't saved everything yet, and then drag that into the landscape material. Now you see on the layer texture you have the list of all the material layers. You want to then go click the plus button and choose the weight blended layer. So that way it will be automatically normalized. Okay, you want to do that for every layer. It's gonna create 5 masks for those layers. Save them again. And then if you want to see something, you can just right click maybe on the mud and then fill layer. It's gonna fill the entire terrain with mud. Alright. And then if we want the distribution from substance painter, it's actually very easy to do. Just right click on the grass and then export mask to clipboard. And then go back to Photoshop, go File, New. And one of the things you want to make sure is that you want to know the resolution. So you can go back to Unreal Engine and then go to the Manage and then change the selection into change component size. See, the resolution is 1072. Okay, you want to use that resolution for your mask. If you find it really hard to do, you can actually, let's just do the 2K thing. It should be easy actually. Just paste your mask here. Remember, I copied it here, right? Just paste it here and then just go image size and change that to let's see, 1072. Okay. And then save it as a PNG. Okay. Let's call it UE4 masks. Okay. Then this one will be the grass. Okay. And then back to Unreal Engine, you can just go right click on the grass and then import from file and then just locate that. It's gonna be mountains, textures, UE4 mask, grass, and open. Okay. And then that will automatically have the grass. Okay. So the good thing about this is that it's normalized already. So you don't have to worry about doing the splat map anymore. Just export the masks and then import them into Unreal Engine. The thing, the other thing though is that you want to go from the bottom layer all the way to the top. Back to Photoshop. Paste it here. Okay, image size to that size and save it. This one will be the rock. Go back to Unreal Engine and then go to the rock and then import from file and use the rock. Okay. So anything is on the rock, then will be overriding the mask, the grass. So now, if you look at the rock layer, see the rock layer is overriding the grass. So it's properly renormalized. Okay, that's why I think it's easier. Okay, but anyway, let's move on to the other layers. So we have flower. Go back to Photoshop, Control Z, Control Shift Z to go back and paste it. And then change the image size, this time to the same size of the terrain, and then just save it as a PNG. This time it's gonna be flower. Okay, and then go back to Unreal Engine and then import the flower. Again, anything that is white on the flower will be taking over other parts. Okay. The snow, the last one there. Let's go back to Photoshop. Of course, you don't need to create to splat map either. There's no splat map in Unreal Engine. Okay, so this one will be the snow, and I only actually need 4 layers. The layer of the mud will be automatically normalized to subtract out for. Okay, so the last one is import from file for the snow. Let's wait for the compiling to finish that little piece. Okay, now you see everything is imported. And when that's done, you want to go Control Shift and then semicolon to bake the lighting to get rid of that grade here on the ground. Okay. So that's the process of the transferring the masking result from Substance Spinner to Unreal Engine, and you see the process is actually kind of easier here because of the importing functionality directly in the engine. So you don't need any secondary code to do that, like what Unity needs. But either way, they will all work. Alright. So for Unreal Engine or Unity, if you want to repeat the texture or make the texture looks bigger, you can do that. So for Unreal Engine, you can just go open the material. To change the UV repetition, you need a landscape layer coordinate. You want to use that to control every layer here, or you can have multiple ones to control the repetition of different layer differently. Okay, I just want to make them look bigger, so I need that on every layer, but just one. Okay, and then the repetition will be on its landscape coordinate. You want to change the map scale, let's say 10 times bigger. Let's apply. And it will compile the shader again. So that's one thing I don't like about Unreal Engine, is that because it's C++ nature inside of it, so things has to be recompiled, even material. Okay, that doesn't mean Unity is not C++. All the game engine are pretty much written in C++. That's their native language, but Unity gave you this API on top of it to control the functionality using C#, which is actually quite nice thing, because C# is just so much easier than C++ in that matter. The reason they choose C++ as the only language instead of Unreal Engine is because in older versions of Unreal, like UDK and Unreal Engine 3, they're having this Unreal script. And this is going to actually making it harder for different programmers to collaborate, because they are all having different languages. It seems like a good thing, but it's actually not. So that's why they abandoned their own language. Just use the native language that gives you the full access of all the functionalities available in the engine. So you can literally change Unreal Engine to anything else. But anyway, that's the whole process of creating terrain. I have introduced the whole workflow, and from word machine to ZBrush to head map, and then import that into game engines, and then the texturing way using Substance Spinner to get a much nicer colored or layer distribution of different materials. So I hope you guys can adapt this workflow, because the texture and the shape will be much better than handmade directly inside of the engine, because it's just so hard to sculpt the things here right in the engine. Okay, So alright, thanks for watching, and next time maybe I will have more tutorial about detailed things like you know, how to create maybe rock, because the landscape is there, but the thing is it's just for blocking. Okay, you cannot just rely on a landscape to make the scene looks awesome. Okay, it's just the ground, and there are so much more you can do with the environment. So we will introduce those later on in future classes. Okay.